I've got an undead Viking zombie coming onto the show to talk all things motorcycling. Join me after the intro and we'll get straight into it.
Joining us today live on set, a special guest.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Neil Meekins. This is the Motor Chat Show. Welcome to another thrilling episode. Undead Viking Zombie, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
It's got a nice shot in the background there, I see.
Did this especially for you, Sean. Yeah, look.
Awesome. Nice. I had one of those, exactly the same model when it first came out.
Did you?
Yeah, I had exactly that. So literally, I had one of the first ones to come off the production run, and it was sat in the dealer at Moorespeed, and walked in there, saw it, and knew I had to have it. I'd literally just actually had an accident, and I wrote my other bike off. I was basically in a situation where I could barely walk, and I was back in the shop to get myself a new bike because I was that desperate to make sure I kept riding. So I was in there, got myself a new bike, and that was it.
What is that? A Chieftain? Is it?
Yeah, that's a Chieftain Classic.
What year is that, Sean?
So the model of production on that one is late 14-15. Is when it changed over from Polaris when Polaris changed over from Victory and putting their weight behind the Indian brand.
Yeah, you knew it straight away, didn't you?
Yeah. Honestly, I put a good few extras on it as well. I had some nice fish tails and
all right, yeah.
It was a solid bike.
So, like, we're straight into chatting like we've known each other for years already, Sean. That's like pretty incredible, really, isn't it? That's the thing about bikes, right? You just like start talking to somebody and straight away you've got something in common and you're just off on a tangent. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, the thing is that, you know, I've recently become a big biker for lots of reasons. And, you know, the thing is that, you know, I got to a point where I was like avoiding people. And the more I was riding, I've actually sort of started seeing so many good people and, you know, meeting so many more people. And you know, you go from a point where at the times in the past, you know, it's like, well, you know, forget people, whereas actually you're drawn to people. And I think the more you get into it, the more people are drawn to you as well, which is a nice thing.
Let me just intro you actually, because we haven't done that yet. So I got to know you, Sean, and we've never spoken before. This is the first time. I got to know you by watching your Instagram posts and the pictures that you put onto Instagram of your amazing Indian motorcycle in some absolutely beautiful backdrops. I mean, you have a talent and an eye for good photos and obviously good motorbikes. And you are a people person. So that's how I got to know you, Sean. But apart from that, I don't know a great deal about you as a person and your motorcycling world. And that's what this show's all about. It's about people and in the world of motorcycling. So that's it, really. That's how we got to know each other. Welcome to the Moto Chat Show. And hopefully we're going to, like, the first thing I want to ask you, Sean, just before we get into anything else, is your name, the Undead Viking Zombie, is just fantastic. I just love that name. Because I love Vikings and I love zombies. So it's like a natural attraction, my friend. The Walking Dead's just come back on. Yeah, so you've got a lot to live up to.
I like to think I'm the original.
You're the original. Right, so how long you had that name? Where'd you get your name from first?
Okay, well, this is a bit of a story. So
cool.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, as it's
okay, all right.
So look, the thing is that, you know, I've always loved bikes, but I've never been a big biker. And, you know, anybody who's watched any of my stuff will know that pretty much about a year ago, nobody knew about me, nobody saw me, nobody heard, there was nothing. So basically, before then, I was like you know, I never had social media. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know Jack. But sadly, in 2013, oh, funny enough, it was the 12th of March, 2013, I was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And everything changed. And, you know, like I say, you know, you go through different phases of trying to find yourself, understanding what's going on, dealing with shit, getting used to new stuff. Sorry about the bad language, but,
It's
you know,
fine, man. It's real world.
I've got a filthy tongue.
That's fine. It's the real world.
I like to think I've got a bit of Tourette's, but you know, so you just, you know, you're going through all the stuff and you're trying to cope with what's going on, and you know, dealing with, you know, seeing how it's affecting your family, not even so much you, and then things change, and going through all the physicals and, you know, the trials and tribulations. So I've been obviously battling that for you know, for a long time now, 8 years or whatever the case is.
Wow.
And you know, a lot's changed in my life. One of the biggest things is I gained about 7 stone in 6 months from the treatment.
Wow.
And now suddenly, you know, so this is one of the things is like somebody sees me and they think, oh, hang on a second, look at that fat bugger. But, you know, there's a lot more to it. And anyway, so cutting a short story long, you know, dealing with all this sort of stuff, I got to a point where I was trying to find myself. I was a bit lost. I was really angry, and I didn't want to be near people. I didn't want to talk. I actually, to be quite honest with you, I forgot to talk. I forgot how to talk to people and how to be around them. I was come really socially awkward, and it was never something that I was always a really outgoing personality, and you know, sort of liked bikes, and I wanted to ride, and I had a good bike, but I was always waiting for someone to ride, and I ended up, you know, hardly ever riding, because it seems to me like a lot of people talk about riding, but not enough people go out there and actually ride. And I didn't really just want to do like the 5 mile down to the local caf, sit there, click tires, take photos and go. I want to ride. And, you know, the one day I was just really fed up with it. And I got on the bike and I said, that's it. And I just rode. And before I knew where I was, what had happened, I'd ridden a few 100 miles down the road, and I felt better than I'd ever been before. And it's not something that actually consciously happened. It just sort of, hang on a second, I'm actually happy. I'm enjoying this. And I started riding, and and the more I rode, the better I felt. And I sort of got to that point where I thought, you know what, I wanted to share this with people.
Mm.
And how better to share it and to reach out to people, other people like me, because I felt like I was no good. You know, I felt like I didn't deserve to be around. I felt, you know, for lots of reasons, lots of things that happened. And it was really a tough time. So, you know, suddenly I had something to live for, something that, you know, it was black, everything became black and white. And, you know, you just don't know how to respond to it. So, you know, that was the thing. I thought, you know what, if I can just get at least one person out there to interact and to see that actually there is life beyond something really bad, it's well worth it. And that's how when I started. So basically the thing behind the Undead Viking zombie is the Undead is being alive even though you didn't expect to be, regardless of what happened. The Viking is the warrior spirit, and the zombie is the lost wanderer, you know, out there. And that's how the name came about, you know. It was literally, you know, I was thinking, this is completely 100% from inside. And even the shirts and everything that I see, it's always black and white. And it literally represents where I was and how I felt. And, you know, just trying to just bring it out there, you know, and that's how it came about.
And you're in remission now. The cancer's gone.
No, mate.
No. Okay.
No. It's still going.
Okay.
I was meant to actually go for some more treatments in the beginning of March.
Okay.
Well, when I say beginning of March, end of March. But then you know what happened. We won't use that terrible name.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, so it's all been delayed again, and that's so, you know, is what it is at the end of the day.
So you've been fighting this for 8 years, Sean?
Yeah.
8 years, man. Wow.
Well, I think the biggest thing of this is a battle of attrition mentally.
Yeah.
And new realities. So basically, so it's like today you can do something.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you wake up and you can't.
Yeah, yeah,
and you've
yeah,
got to get used to it. And every
yeah,
day changes, and you've got to get used to those new realities. It's like, you know, um, if you think about morning sickness when you know, with pregnancy, you know,
yeah,
you have it for a few months in the mornings at certain times, and it's. But imagine if you have that sort of feeling for 8 years
yeah. Wow.
non-stop, and that's the sort of thing. The thing that this is, it really just sort of attacks you all the time mentally, and I think no matter how strong you are, you're going to get affected by it.
Yeah,
And you know, I didn't have. Um, well, I think this is the thing, and that's why I started doing this stuff. I just didn't have anyone that I could relate to who could show me any different.
yeah,
It just wasn't out there. So you know, and that's why, you know, at the end of the day, I like to have as good an outlook as I possibly can.
mm,
You know, I don't want anything other than get out there, ride my bike, and to be fair, you know, I might not be able-bodied as in the normal sense anymore, but I think I can still outride a few people.
Well, that's something I always say. When you get on a bike, it's like turning back the clock for us older guys. I mean, like, I'm 55. You know, I can't run around and lift weights and do the things like I used to. But when I get on that
Mm,
bike, and it's very true what you're saying, Sean. You know, riding motorcycles, I've come to it very late in life. I'm not very experienced. I've only been riding a few short years,
mm,
apart from when I did when I was a younger lad. I mucked about on them then, but for mental clarity, mental stimulation, and helping me find my place, like I've never experienced anything so all encompassing to take me out of, not out of reality, but it's like meditative. It puts you inside yourself in this world, and it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. So I can kind of relate to how you know, you feel about getting on the bike and just being free again, I guess. And
yeah, well, it's very simple for me. The thing is, when I get on the bike, I stop thinking.
yeah,
And that stopping thinking is what helps your mind to focus on other than all the rubbish that's going on around you, all
yeah,
the troubles, all the
yeah,
moans, all the this, all the, you know, it's just you, the road keeping you company, the wind blowing on your hair.
yeah,
That's it. And I think the thing is that, you know, that's why I don't like getting off the bike. You know,
mm,
I'll ride 12, 15 hours a day, and
yeah.
I won't even know that where I've been throughout that whole time, because I just completely zone out. So yes, I'm focused. I know what I'm doing, but I'm so focused in that time that
Yeah.
I'm just on the bike, that, you know, I'll get off and I'll go, what did I see? And that's where the photos come in. It's just like, you know, sometimes you've got to have a bit of evidence that you've been somewhere.
Yeah.
And you know, you just stop, you see something nice, and I just, that's how I feel about it. You know, I just, for me, you know, I've been in situations where, you know, I'll do like even getting my bike serviced, I'll ride down to more speeds, nearly 100 miles,
Yeah.
and I'll get about 10 miles away and I'll start sulking because like my ride's almost finished. You know, it feels like I've just got on the bike.
Wow.
And you know, so for me, I just, give me miles, give me a bike, and let me go.
I'm gonna coin a term for it. It's Moto meditation.
Yeah.
When you're in that zone, then yeah, I get that. I've seen some of your rides. Like, you know, one of the ones that I always wanted to do was to ride down to Portugal.
Oh yeah.
And I see, was it last year or the year before? You did a big long ride all the way to Portugal, and that was
Last
well,
year. Yeah.
last year, yeah. And the photos that come back from you over in Portugal, I'm sitting there just thinking, I just want to go, I just want to go, and it's very inspiring. So,
Mm.
how long was that ride all the way down? Did you get the ferry from Portsmouth to? Did you go to France and all the way? Or
No. We ride bikes. We don't take boats.
good man?
You know, so basically what I did was I actually went the real long route around. So I did, I think it's 8,000 kilometers in 9 days. And that's a 1.5 day rest time as well. So I went all the way through France, Spain, Portugal, but I didn't just do the straight line. I went to visit all the Indian dealers along the way as well.
Oh yes,
So,
of course. Yes, you
so,
did, didn't you?
so
Yeah.
that's my thing is I go and I visit all the dealers. It just started as a thing that I did,
Yeah.
And my goal obviously is to visit all the Indian dealerships in the world.
Okay.
And I have goals on doing it an around the world ride, and doing things like that at the time. So it's still in the early phases of planning, but hopefully in the next few years I'll be able to get that done.
That sounds absolutely, awesome. I mean, that definitely interested in learning a little bit more about that, Sean, to be honest. I mean, the community, we've got to talk about the Harley Davidson and the Indian thing, because in my mind, they're two very similar kind of cultures that grew up around the same kind of time. I don't care for one nor the other. I think they're both absolutely awesome. Some people do, I'd have an Indian chieftain as much as I'd have a Dyna glide or a street glide or something like that. I think they're both great. But I think that important thing that you just said is the camaraderie, or the essence around that biking community. And if you're riding around the world, stopping off at all these Indian places, you're not just gonna go there and it's gonna be a mechanical look around. They're there for you, aren't they? These people.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a weird thing, you listen, as with everything, you get good and bad.
Yeah.
And, I think, in a short time, I've managed to meet many of the Indian dealers around there, whether or not it's in person or virtually.
Yeah.
And, you see the real good out there. I mean, one of the dealers that actually really stuck in my mind was Dominique in Bordeaux. Wow, what a fantastic guy that was.
Is he the guy that opened up when he wasn't supposed
Yes.
to be at work? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank you very much. Oh, I must actually say this. Dominic has been really, really kind. When I got here, I didn't realize that the shop was actually closed. So he's actually decided to help me on his lunchtime to allow me to have a little look. So Dominic, honestly, I really appreciate your hospitality. So what we're going to do now, guys, is just head inside, have a little look at the shop. And I tell you what, I think you'll agree with me. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. So basically, in Europe, they, as they have this sort of extended lunch period, and rather than like what we do, we'll give someone a break or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
They close the shop for a couple of hours.
Yep.
And literally, I got the right sort of at the beginning of that, not knowing that it was the case. And I just was like, look, let me look around at least, and instead of like, okay, fine, just have a quick look, he actually took the time, spoke to me, and he was such a fantastic guy. If anyone's ever out in the Bordeaux area, make sure you go check him out. He loves his bikes as well. That's a key thing,
Yeah.
And you can see it when you talk to him. His personality, fantastic guy. And that's why I like it. But I've also been to dealers, and it's like,
Yeah.
and you treat them in the same way that you get found. So it's a case of, okay, fine, goodbye. We'll see you later. Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah.
The reason why I ride an Indian is, to start with anyway, for one reason only. It's because everyone rode a Harley.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do what everyone else did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to be, I wanted to set a different track. And then somehow along the way, I became, okay, fine, well, let me become an advocate for people riding Indian, because let's get more people riding Indian. So for me, there isn't a thing of, oh, well, Harley is this or Harley, that's a side thing. For me, what's important is, are you on two wheels and are you riding?
Of course.
And I, right or wrong, I do discriminate a little bit against people who do the 5 mile calf routes. That's for me, fine, you do your thing, but don't ask me to come with you, because I'm not interested in it.
No, when you get on the bike, you want to do a ride.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, it is 30, 40, 50 miles, and then I'll do my ride with you.
Yeah.
and then I'll go and do whatever else I want to afterwards. I mean, give you an idea of my ride. I'm not sure if you saw the video, but post lockdown, the first thing I had to do was get on a ride, and I went to Land's End for the day.
I saw it. I saw it. It was like
It's not a lot.
600 miles or something,
Yes,
wasn't it?
it's about 650 odd mile.
Yeah.
Depending on the route that you take. But also when I got there, I did some extra riding, explored the place a bit. We met up with a mate of mine, Tony Marsland, and it's just fantastic. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't tell you how awesome that felt, because I'd just sort of been locked up for 4 or 5 months.
Oh man.
And it was just the most horrendous experience. And also because I was shielding, I couldn't
Yeah.
leave the house. I was just sat inside.
Wow.
And I don't have a garden outside because I'm in an apartment.
Yeah.
And it was just horrendous. In fact, I kept saying to people, the only reason why I had a suntan is from the fridge lights.
Jeez.
Because if you spend so much time in front of the fridge, it's just like couch, fridge, sleep, and then repeat. It was just awful.
I mean, with respect, you are one of those people at the moment that certainly I and other people would talk about, is somebody who's suffering. Well, you're not. Let me choose the right words. You have cancer, and you are locked up in a box, pretty much 24/7, without being able to get out and express your life why you were put here, and that must be hard. How do you keep your spirits up through that, Sean?
You don't, is the
Right.
answer.
Yeah.
I did it. I was doing regular YouTube stuff and, getting out there, and I was, getting people together, and it got to the point where just everything became black and white again. And it was extremely, extremely tough, and I didn't know how to deal with it. In fact, I wasn't dealing with it well at all. And, that's why, the moment the lockdown ended, that was it. I had to get on the bike,
Yeah.
get out there, smash a few miles, just to, I mean, to be fair, I left at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was back at 4 in the afternoon.
God, you done well, man. I tell you, that's pretty good. I mean, wow, that's kind of riding that you're doing is quite. Mind you, got a lovely bike, isn't it? I'm sure that is so comfortable. I mean,
it just goes for miles. I think. Look, there's a few things. Let me talk about the two things.
yeah,
So the first thing is that you got to condition yourself.
yeah.
And that's
bike
one of
fit.
that's one of the things that people don't realize. People just think, okay, I'm going to get on the bike and I'm going to go.
Good
The
point.
thing is, though, and again, it's like, oh, well, I'll stop every 100, 150 miles or whatever. If you're doing that, I'll be honest with you, forget it. You don't know what you're not doing a lot of regular long distance riding, because you'll know it just doesn't work. So the thing to do, especially with the more extreme distances that I do, is I tend to stop every 60 miles. Even if I don't need to, I'll stop, get off, might have a little drink or whatever the case is, walk about for 2 minutes, get back on, and keeps going. Because all it does, it takes the pressure off your spine, your backside especially. So, that numb bum that you get from spending hours, and it just doesn't come like that. So towards the end of the day, you start to feel it, especially if you're riding 12 plus hours.
Yeah.
But, that's the way to avoid it. And you can cover some serious miles. So one of the things that I do when I do ride long is I don't eat breakfast. So I don't eat during the day at all. The only thing I do is get up in the morning, get going. I'll have a drink when I stop, fill up, and keep going. And I'll do that until I get to wherever I'm heading. And the other thing about all my trips, that's a funny thing, is that I don't plan any of it. Nothing. I wake up in the morning, decide I'm going to go, pick a direction, and that's it. And that's what I do. No planning. So what I'll do is I'll ride the day until I get about an hour from sunset. And so I go, okay, fine. You know what? It's time to start looking. And the first place that I find that's a hotel, I'll stop, see if they've got a spot. And if they don't, I'll keep going until the next place. And that's how I did it. And you know what? Every single time I've been so lucky, and I've actually had the best experiences, even talking about going to Portugal.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Portugal. Yeah.
So when I got to Portugal, I was looking for the Indian dealer in Faro, and I couldn't find him. And then eventually, whilst I was in the area, I came across this whole group of bikers, and there were some Indians. I thought, hey, shit, let me stop and ask them what's going on.
I think I saw
Actually,
this.
yeah, and this is on the video, and
Yeah.
and it actually ended up not being just a biker cafe. It was a biker gang, like their local
MC.
MCs, and they were all there. And I was like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? Where's the? So they said, it showed me where the place was and that, and they said, you know what? Tonight's a massive anniversary bash. Why don't you come? I've been there 5 minutes. I'd not done anything. I didn't even know where I was going to be that night. And joined up with them. They showed me what's what. And I thought, okay, fine, let me go and find a hotel. I went to find a hotel, came back, and then I couldn't find the spot. And then I saw a biker, and I said, listen, do you know where this party is? Hey, I'm on my way, follow me. And it's like, and then I'm following this dude for miles into the direction. The next thing I get there, there's this big open place, and it's awesome. Lots of bikes and everything there. You had the Angels, you had the, honestly, it was a cross section of clubs there, and it was just fantastic. And everyone was so welcoming. And it's like, you know what? Next time you come, don't get a hotel. You just stay with us at the club. It's just fantastic. And I mean, where else can you get that on two wheels? If somebody was riding four wheels and he says that to you, you probably think, hang on a second, he's some kind of weirdo.
He's going to rob me or something.
Yeah, leave me alone. But two wheels, no, it's all good, and that's pretty much
That's a brilliant story, Sean.
How it happens. And I mean,
hope you didn't drink too much.
I'm not gonna...
I think it took me about 2-3 minutes to run into the local bikers. I've managed to get invited to the local party. It's a massive celebration event, and it's fantastic. Hey guys, thank you for the invite, man.
I'm not gonna admit to anything, but what I will say is that beers were only €1 a piece.
Oh my God.
And I think I spent 150 euros.
Jesus. You know what? Like you're down in Faro, and that's right down south of Portugal, isn't it? So you go all the way, not just to Portugal, but right through to the other end of Portugal.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't write that story, could you? You just can't write those adventures. You've just got to go and live them. You got to.
Yeah. And I did it all on my own. There was no one with me. I just literally, that was it, on my bike. And you know what? I don't think I would have enjoyed myself more if anyone was there with me.
I've talked to a lot of bikers who've travelled all around the world, and they've actually said in some of the worst places, they're the most accommodating people. Because I think incessantly, most people, as long as you're honest, as long as you're a nice person, everybody's mostly, without being naive,
yeah,
people are pretty good, especially when you're on two wheels.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Is that I get the feeling that, generally speaking, two wheels puts you in a different state of mind, a little bit rough and ready, if it were. And what it does is that a lot of the time it takes the judgment out of things.
Yeah.
So when you're in an environment, you're not judging it because it's not, in a certain way or looking, you just look, it is what it is. And it just ends up, and look, you do get weirdos. I've met some right plonkers at times,
Yeah.
but, by far the majority of people, 99%, absolutely awesome people. I mean, even just recently, I've met some fantastic people, and you think to yourself, how lucky am I? No, lucky is not necessarily something that I would consider to use for myself.
Yeah.
But I am lucky because, I've just to have met and to know that there are people, or as many people out there who actually care about you, is just, people that I sometimes even haven't met. And it's like, it's just, it's an amazing experience.
Let's take you back in time a little bit then, Sean. Let's take you back to when you, if that's okay, when you first started riding motorcycles. What was your first motorcycle that you had, and what got you into motorcycling? What was your take on it?
You know what? I grew up in South Africa, and
Okay.
motorcycles were one of two things: transport, which means that you were a pleb, or fun, which means you were a wealthy person, and you rode it when every so often because you wanted to go show your nice bike off. And for me, we weren't on the latter part. We were on the first part. So my first bike was a DT50. Nothing special. It was just transport. And then, in and out of bikes. And it wasn't the thing like I always had one. It's just like, a lot of the time, even with just those sort of stigmas, you didn't always bother with a bike. It wasn't something that you, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So you'll see a nice bike and it's always like, you need to have a Harley. I grew up, let's go and get a Harley this,
Right.
Harley that, it's like, wow, look at that nice Harley. Even if it's, looking at it now, it's just like your basic standard El Cheapo, it's a Harley. That's awesome. And I think it's sort of that association of the lifestyle and, the things that sort of always was a draw, but it was never a big thing. I mean, my biggest thing really is scuba diving.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Shark diving, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, to be fair, I've always been pretty much an adrenaline junkie.
Right.
Skydived, done it all. And the bigger the sharks, the better. So it's no cages or anything. It's just free diving, scuba
Wow.
with sharks, deep diving, wreck diving, that kind of stuff. So I've done thousands of dives, spent many days under the water, and that's the sort of thing. And I mean, I played rugby. Rugby is my main thing, so I played a bit of professional rugby until I got injured.
What brought you over to the UK then, Sean?
My family
Okay.
originally from here.
Yeah.
And they came back during the 1994 elections when there was a lot of instability. It wasn't a nice time. He saw some horrible. That's what I try and do, is I try and ride to show people how beautiful things are. So try and get a bit of variety, and there's not many things that beats a good ocean view, is there?
Nope, definitely not.
So
and do you know what? The good thing about ocean shots is it doesn't matter whether it's bad weather or good weather. It's always going to be good.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. I mean, growing up in by the beach and that, surfing was the thing. So I lived on the beach.
Yeah.
There was times that if I wasn't at home, you'd know where to find me.
Right.
I'd be in the water.
Yep.
I was a water baby. Every single second of every single day that you're out in the water.
Yeah.
And there's at that point, the only soothing thing for me was to sit on the beach and listen to the waves. And you've got these massive waves crashing, especially when there's been a big storm. But the funny thing is, with these big storms, sometimes you don't have a rough ocean, as in it's calm. But as the swells are hitting the landmass, and they come up and they smooth in these nice massive barrel rolls, it's just crystal clear water, and it's just stunning. And that sort of thundering noise. I'll tell you this story is that growing up, we were really poor. Honestly, it wasn't great. And we were in between places, and somehow found this place by the beach. And I don't know, whatever, these rich farmer people, and they felt sorry for us, and they basically rented us the house, which was probably the equivalent of 20 quid today a month rent. It was like this 4-bedroom house.
A month.
It wasn't stunning as in the most spectacular, but it had what it needed. It was a decent place, but literally, 15 yards off the back porch was beach sand.
Wow.
So you can't get much better than that. It's just that's what we did. So you just every single moment you'd escape. Either go fishing, surfing, swimming, sitting on the beach, and it was such a calming place.
Yeah. Sounds absolutely. You don't actually. I was talking about something today, and I was saying I was talking to somebody. The best things in life are the simple things. I won't say free, but the best things are simple things. And sometimes I think we're all brought into a world where we think we've got to keep adding in terms of material things, and actually, living quite simply by the beach is probably one of the best things you could ever do. Why do you want a big penthouse in the city? That's just my opinion. But
I for one, am not a city person.
No.
I like to be outside. To be fair, the only reason why I'm even where I am now is because my wife doesn't want to live further out into the sticks. Otherwise, I'd move to Cornwall or something. In fact, to be fair, I'd move to Australia.
Would you?
Yeah. All the states, the thing is that I'm a wanderer, and I need a new adventure, to be quite honest with you. I want to do different things. I want to go and explore. Just that need to see more things is quite strong.
But are you in Scotland?
No. I'm just outside London.
Because you've done a lot of stuff where you've taken a lot of photos up in Scotland, and do you know I've never been to Scotland? Never been.
That's just a sin.
It is a sin, and I'm just waiting. I keep planning it, and
Well, this is what I wanted to say to you. Is when I first started my trips and stuff, I got to the point very quickly where I was going to Edinburgh for the weekend. I'd leave on a Saturday morning. I'd be back on Sunday afternoon.
Really?
I'd go to Germany for the weekend.
Yeah.
I'd do 5 countries in 2 days. So literally, I'd go UK, France, up through Belgium, all of that, Holland, and then Germany, and make my way back. And it's just such a stunning experience. I think my first sort of decent ride that gave me the thought that actually, you know what, long distance is good, is going to Dunkirk for the day.
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah.
And I think the reason behind the distancing started as well is not because I want to go, wow, I've done 5 million miles, because that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But it's that mileage that allows you to, in a certain time, get a further reach where you can see things otherwise that you wouldn't be able to do. Because most of the time, nobody's got, how many trips are you going to do in a year? 1, maybe 2?
Yeah, planned on 2 big ones, yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about it, that means that's the only riding you're doing of note. So if you can extend the range that you can get in a short period of time, you can see things that you otherwise wouldn't. And that's why that became more of a thing for me, because I'm certainly not trying to, clock up a world record distance or, riding or anything, because that's not what I'm about. For me, it's about getting to places, experiencing things, because you just can't write that stuff. I mean, one of the trips that I did to Europe, and it was through Bruges. And so I've always wanted to go there because of the movie and also the beer. So early on, one of the things that I like to do is chug a few beers and, show people, Anyway, so I stopped at this place in Bruges for the night, and I wanted to actually go and visit some of the breweries, but it was on a Sunday or a Saturday or whatever the case is. And it just seemed, nothing was open. And they tend to close quite early there. And I went to this pub, and it's like, look, you've got like an hour and a bit. So I thought, well, let me try a few beers. And to be fair, although I probably knew it, I wasn't thinking of it. But the beer is strong. So I was scared. I'll tell you what. Let's start with 3 of your recommendations. Let me taste them. So they said, well, do you want half? I said, well, no, just bring me a beer, man. So I got 3. So I was like on the Instagram and that, and I was like, one, hey, that was good. And I was like, I tell you what, let's take a photo of this one and do it on the story. And I was halfway through the second beer and the third beer, and I was like, hang on a second, this stuff kicks. And I was like, and I just ordered some more beers, because she came they were like a bit shocked, like, how fast you drinking the beers? And I was like, and I was just sitting there like this and thinking to myself, you know what, I'm going to get hammered here tonight. And this guy that had been sat on the side to the right of me, very, very quietly, gets up. But if you would consider a zombie, right now, pardon the pun with that, but and then goof him up, drink him up, and make him as pissed looking as you possibly could. That's what this guy was.
Oh my God!
He tries to walk out of there as straight as he could, and he gets to his bicycle, which is literally, I don't know, 5 meters from where I was sitting. There's like a little war memorial type thing, and he parked his bicycle up against this railing around it, and he gets there and he just goes straight over. Head over heels, bicycle everywhere, legs everywhere. It's just so funny, and I thought to myself, better slow down.
And you were still standing at this point? You were all right?
No, I was sitting all the time, but to be fair, I think because of my size as well, I can
put them away. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, even just the recent ride we did is just like, because I don't actually drink. That's the funny thing. Typically, no. I mean, the amount of times I've had a big drink in 15 years.
Yeah.
4 times.
Blimey.
And typically I just don't drink.
No.
And you get into a stage and it's like, it hits you. And I think I had like a dozen pints when we were on this last run. And but I went the night before, so it was like safe. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it, because, you didn't want to, but it's just, And if you get in the right mood, you know, smash them.
Yeah. I can relate to that big time. Have you had any accidents or problems where you've been out on your big rides or anything? Has anything like ever happened to you
No,
like that? No.
no. I've had the one accident where I rode my bike off, which in 2015, late 2014, 15, and basically I'd done a good bit of mileage, so I wasn't doing much long riding, but I was out for the day, and I was coming back and came over a blind rise, and literally in front of me was just stationary traffic everywhere.
Oh,
And I was on a Victory Vegas, and it didn't have ABS or anything like that. And because I was trying to pump the brakes a bit too hard, the back end gave up.
right.
But to add to that is the driver that was on the front of me, so I was in the left lane, he was in the right lane, decided to pull in front of me.
Right.
So whilst all this was happening, and I tried to feather it, and it just, because you've got to manage the brakes and still stop before you hit something.
Yeah.
And I came off at about 70 mile an hour,
Oof.
and took a bit of a tumble. In fact, the funny thing was when I hit the road, I knew it was in the middle of the road, so I was concerned with people not being able to see from behind.
Yeah.
And so when I hit the road, I just kept rolling, because I stayed, obviously, I knew where I was. And I kept rolling until I saw the yellow line. I knew I was off the road.
Wow.
And that was it. And then
Where did the bike go?
the bike was in the road.
Oh.
But I certainly didn't want to be hit by a car. And I lay on the side of the road. And initially I was lying there because I was thinking, just gather yourself, get up and do your thing. And obviously the traffic stopped, and there was some senior paramedic people that, part of the air ambulance crew, but they had finished duty. And they came over, and it's like, no, hold on, wait, don't move. And I was like, nah, man. After a while, I was like, and I tried to move,
Right.
and my body just went, that's
Did it?
not going anywhere. And then I knew, actually, you know what, this is a bit worse than I thought. And I then laid there, but I laid there for 4 hours in the end.
Wow.
Because there was no ambulances, and they came to pick me up, and took me down to Southampton.
Yeah.
And when I got to Southampton, it's like, no, sorry, we don't have any trauma units here. You've got to take him a couple of hours the other way. And I was like, you know what, guys, forget that shit.
I'm going home.
Give me a wheelchair. Got someone to come pick me up. Took me home. Managed to get myself into bed. And this was on the Friday, I think it was.
Yeah.
Managed to get myself into bed. And because at that stage, obviously, I'd spent a lot of time in hospital, so I knew what it was like over the weekend, specifically, because you'd be sat there. And I basically spent the weekend in bed, and then on Monday morning, I got my wife to take me to hospital. And I just said, when we got there, I said, listen, I can't move. You better get someone to come and bring a thing and help me out and all that. And the funny thing was, is they sent this guy out with a little wheelchair, this tiny little guy, porter, and it's like, mate, I don't want to be rude, but
Ain't gonna fit.
This is, you're not going to be able to help me here, because I couldn't move. I'd seized up. And then out comes this angry looking, what do you call it, matron, about to give me a piece of her mind because I'm messing around, kind of thing. And I just said, look, I can't move. And when she saw how big I was, it's like, oh, okay. She went back in. She came out with a team of people in one of the trolleys. And they managed to get me on top of there, took me straight into trauma units, fixed me up. And that was it. So, but it was even funny when they tried to get me across, because they literally had 8 people needed to lift me up and get me onto the bed.
Do you keep well protected when you ride, Sean, or do you go with a t-shirt and an open face helmet? What's your kind of take on protecting yourself when you're on a bike?
So early days,
Mm.
Kevlar jeans, leather jackets, open face helmets.
Yep.
And I'll tell you a story about how the weather I got hit with in you wearing that, hail and everything, but that's a different thing.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
that's pretty much what I wear.
Yeah.
Although, and I had my accident
Yeah.
with that. And funny thing is the only reason why I didn't smash my knee up
Yeah.
is because of the knee padding that was protected me. So when I came off, my knee, as I tumbled, my knee was the first thing that actually hit the tarmac, and that saved me. That's why I can still walk today. And then you know, the jeans had a small rip, but it was on the seam, not on the actual Kevlar bits or anything.
Yeah.
So you know that was a big relief. So I make sure that I'm as safe as possible, but I also want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I've now invested in some AAA rated jeans, which I think it's all about the skid time. So leather has got a slide time of about 4 point something, call it 5 seconds, where these jeans have got a slide time of nearly 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And obviously, what is it going to do? If you slide, it's not going to give you a thing. But at the end of the day, I believe in being safe. So when I do long runs now, I don't use open face helmets anymore, especially for lower jaw injuries.
Yeah.
And also, I tend to be a bit more vigorous. So I like to make sure that I'm covered up with that. And also, just from a pure practical point of view, having a full face helmet allows me to have the microphones and set up for cameras and on the bike.
You do some talking on your vlogs and stuff, don't you, Sean?
Yeah. I mean, I went through stages where it was actually driving me around the bend and trying to get decent audio.
Tell me about it.
So at the end of the day, I pretty much got to a point where I just did voiceover initially. I started doing bits of that, but I wanted to keep a genuine feel. So I kept looking, and I've now found what I think is a really good solution. Where I connect the camera audio into the helmet via one of those intercoms that I've actually never even charged. I've literally just stuck it on there, so it's a straight through, and it gives me the best audio possible. And
where's that connected to? Sorry.
So basically, the camera is on the top of my helmet. So I have a top helmet mounted position.
What, like a GoPro or?
Yeah, GoPro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got two GoPros. One is the 8 black, and the other is the 7 black. I use the 7 black on top because of the positioning from the point where you actually connect the audio system on the side.
Yeah, because you have to have a little. You have to have it's the same as me. You have to have that little module, don't you, to plug into it?
Yes.
And then you Yeah.
So on the 8, the point is on the other side because I'd installed it on the left while I'm using the 7. So at the end of the day, I do think, though, that the 7 is better for the main reason that you can easily get the camera out. It's got a bit of protection, especially when you've got stuff hitting it on your helmet. But so on this particular system, which obviously I don't want to specifically plug, but what you do have is you have got your normal sort of connections, but on the audio connection, it actually has a 3.5 millimeter female connector.
Right.
So if you then take that and you have a male 2-into-1 or 1-into-2, it actually then allows you to you can jimmy it, and it's certainly given me the best results so far. And I think the one other item which made a massive difference was the length of the screen. And I didn't realize how much of a difference it made. Yeah. So, I think for anyone out there listening to this and trying to solve their audio issues, there's those two things.
Right.
Is making sure that you've got protection as much as strategically placed, because you don't necessarily want a massive screen. But if you're videoing, in fact, there's 3 points. One is your speed. So scrub your speed. 30 to 40 mile an hour max. Yeah. Make sure that you have the visor. And then this thing that I'm using at the moment, what it does is it has a bit of built-in noise cancelling, but you don't want to play with it too much, and that's why I just use it off. I've actually never used it as an intercom system at all.
No,
I just use it for
videoing.
video. Yeah.
Wow. Do you ever play music when you're on these long rides or anything
Well, I've
like
got
that?
it on my bike.
Yeah, oh, yeah, of course you have. Yeah, because it's got the big speakers in it, isn't it? Like, I've never ridden a bike that's got speakers like down there and the music's playing back at you. What's that like? Is it good? I mean, is it
Awesome, mate. Awesome.
Is it?
I rock out something fierce. You know, when I ride, honestly, my music's blasting. Obviously, when I'm recording, you don't hear the music because then you have issues with YouTube and licensing, etc. So you turn the music off. So obviously, I use my own subscriptions and things for music.
Bit of rock and roll coming out there, is it, Sean?
Oh, mate, it's either punk, metal. We're on these subscription type things. Rock and roll is like some. I almost used a bad word. Some sissy boy type music, and I like angry music.
Do you?
Yeah, I know. It's got to be fucking angry. It's hard to call angry music motivational, but it is.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because it's for me
uplifting,
yeah,
Sean.
I mean, again, I go back to the UVZ name. You know, that isn't. I'm not just saying that. I live that every single second of every single day. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And the only thing that sort of soothes the savage beast is listening to that, and it sort of is an outlet, and it also is the reason behind why I ride the way I do. Because I need to be immersed in what it is that I'm doing. I don't want to be where it's just like pat, pat, pat. You know, it needs to be full on. I need to be in there. And that's why, you know, anybody who's ridden with me will know that
you don't hang about.
I like to have fun with it.
Progressive.
You know, I like to enjoy it. You know, it's just like, you know, I've developed something called, what I call anyway, old person ADHD.
Old person ADHD.
Yes. Because when I'm sitting on the bike...
That's ODHD, yeah. Oh, right.
OAP ADHD.
OAP ADHD. I'm writing that down. OAP ADHD. Yeah. You could, yeah.
And I was sitting on the bike there, tottering along at 40 mile an hour. It's like, I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude to anyone, but I'm bored out of my mind. I just need to be doing something, you know. And it's just what's happened. You know? Do you take risks though, Sean? Do you think you take risks sometimes when you shouldn't? Honestly, I like to think of myself as a extremely sensible person, and I take risks because I am extremely pro risk in certain things.
Sure.
But I take risks that are considered. and that I feel are acceptable at the time of doing it. But at the same time, you know, for me, I think, and this is, I think the big thing with this is that I take risks for me.
Yeah.
I don't take risks with you. And that's the different thing. So if I've got people around me or whatever, for me, it's not about me.
No.
It's about someone else.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
quite wise.
So that's how I see it. At the end of the day, you know, I do things for me,
Yeah.
and when I'm not doing them for me, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Look, I'm not saying sometimes I don't have to have a word with myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, you know what,
Yeah.
pull it back a bit. You know, because it's hard. You know, the thing is that, you know, again, going back to the whole name,
Yeah.
it's what I live, and it's not even believe, it's who I am, and switching it off is not easy. You know, I am constantly angry. Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
saying that with complete and total honesty here. For me, I have a rage that is absolutely, or it's like a thirst, you know, that hunger thirst of a zombie, you know, the thing that never stops, you know.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And
is it
hard to switch off.
and it is the cancer that you contracted, is it that's bringing more of this side of your personality out?
It's how
Just
the
how
things
you
I've
are?
experienced,
Right.
because I never used to be like that. Trust me, mate. You know,
Yeah.
I went through a point where even when I first started working and stuff, you know, I was a shy little boy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, honestly, I couldn't. I mean, the first job I had, it said to me, "Listen, phone the customer, tell them we're going to be 10 minutes late." I couldn't do it. I didn't know how
Right.
to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, sort of developed. So all the stuff that I've got now is learned behaviors, which is what people do. You know,
Yeah.
you get shaped by some of your experiences.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went through a stage, and then when I was sick, I mean, look, to be quite honest with you, some really horrible shit happened.
Yeah.
You know, I got betrayed by people who was meant to be like brother. You know, I mean, it's not, it was horrible. And, you know, as part of that, I mean, I even got to a point where I was told that I was lying about having cancer. Okay. You know, it was like, honestly, it drove me, you know, that sort of betrayal type stuff that happened. And I just didn't want anyone around me. And the more stuff that happened, and then you sort of start to deal with that. But then, you know, I'm still sick. It's like, here's the thing. And another guy, Matthew Norwell, that I know, I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning his name, and he talks to me about this as well, because again, you know, from what I've done, I've connected with people who struggle like I do. And the thing is that these are, you know, we're dealing with long-term diseases and issues. It's not something you turn off. You know, and I've actually done some experiments on social media stuff with this. So when you put on social media, "Oh, I'm not feeling well today," you know, like on Facebook, you've got 100,000 people saying, "Oh, you know, I hope you feel better," you know, blah blah blah. But then you put something serious on Facebook, about, you know, and then you get nothing. It's like tumbleweed, boom, 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 boom. So it's that sort of hollowness of things, because people will say, "Oh, I hope you feel better." Well, I'm not going to feel better. I'm not. As much as I want to say, "Okay, fine, I'll be better tomorrow or the next day," I'm not. And the thing is that in your mind, you have to adjust to these things, and you have to be able to get to a point where you go, "You know what? I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to sit here bitching about it, or I'm just going to get on."
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know what? Don't ask me how I feel unless you actually want to hear.
Yeah.
Just say, "You're right, mate." That's it. That's good enough for me. You know, be my brother. Let's ride the bike. You know, that for me is where I'm home. That's my level playing field, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm just as agile on the bike as, if not more, than anyone else. And that's my epic place. Is that I think too many times people aren't genuine when they ask you something, and I would rather people say, "Look, Sean, you know what? I know you're sick. I'd rather not you hear about it." That's perfect. I respect that. I can respect that far more so than somebody who is, you know, whatever. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, life would be so much better if people were just honest. And
Yeah.
and again, if you don't have something good to say, fine, don't
Yeah.
say it, but don't be there. You know,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I got a problem with you, well, fine, you know, do one. I'm not going to phone you up and say, like, you know, pretend to be, or, you know, hey, how you doing? If I don't want to be around you, well, I'll leave you to it. You know, goodbye. You know, and that's it. And I just think that people need to learn from that a bit more. You don't have to be nasty. And I think the thing is that what people do is and I did that at some points, is that you hang on to these things, and all that happens is you carry this sort of luggage around with you. When, well, why do you need to? You know, the only person that's affected by it is you, because I can guarantee you the other person haven't given you an extra thought.
I mean, we probably live in too PC a world now. I mean, me personally, I think it should be acceptable for a guy to get angry and shout and scream without everybody thinking he's going to rip everybody's heads off. It's just an expression of how someone's feeling at any one time. And a lot of guys, in particular, a lot of young fellas are not able to express themselves in that way and get things and feelings off their chest, and they bottle it inside. And, you know, what we're seeing at the moment is, you know, the suicide rates are double what they were, you know, previous to the problems that we're going through, but they were still through the roof. And in particular, men, either young guys or guys middle-aged who are trying to fight against this kind of life that we've got without being able to express
The
themselves.
perception is that you need to shut up and deal with it as a man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, talking about, you know, that kind of thing, it's one of the things that I particularly have an issue with. You know, I'm 6'3" and I weigh 180 kilos. You know, I'm a fucking big guy, you know, and if I get angry,
Yeah.
the room goes quiet. And it's not because I'm suddenly going to turn, you know, into the you know, Jack the Ripper or the Hulk or whatever the case is and rip shit down.
Exactly.
It's just I'm angry. I'm expressing myself.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, you almost feel like as a person like that, you're not allowed to, because somebody is automatically gonna switch, gonna think that you're gonna do something weird, and it's a difficult situation. But it's okay for them to say whatever it is that they want to say and treat you however. But the moment you, look at you, and I just, you know what, I don't have time for empty people. And that's been the best thing that I've done, is because, you know, I've met so many great people. Yeah. So many great people. And it's because I opened myself up to it.
When you gain in maturity and you gain from experiences, you can see as well. You can start to see through your experiences. You can start to see through people when they're being genuine, and when, do you know what, I just don't need to listen to you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, when somebody's really just getting to you, by sitting there and accepting it, you're empowering it, or you're allowing it to happen. And I just go, you know what, mate, I don't want to be rude to you, but thank you. You know, let's just end it, because it just, well, what's the point? And I don't like to hurt anybody. For myself, honestly, if somebody is my friend, I will lay my life down. No questions asked, I'll do it. In fact, you know what, if I saw somebody who needed me, I'd still probably do it as well. But, you know, and that's why, like, that sort of, when people are just nasty, I can't handle it.
Well, this is very good, Sean, because not only have you got a big bike, you're a big guy, but you obviously have practiced and trained yourself to be really good on that bike.
Well, listen, I've done a lot of miles on that bike, and it's part of me. But what I will say is that, you know, before switching to the sort of cruiser style bike, I was riding quicker bikes.
Right. Yeah.
You know, again, because of my size, I tend to go for the bigger style bikes. But before switching to the Victory, I had 3 ZZR 1400s.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know, I mean, there's nothing that I more that I even now that I want to do is go and get myself a ZX10 and stick it on the track.
Yeah.
You know, I want to do stuff like that because for me, variety is everything. I don't want to just be, and to be quite honest with you, if anybody comes and says, listen, you know, you're not a biker because you ride this, or you're not a biker, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, on your bike,
Big
I
mistake.
don't have time for you. I don't have time for you because at the end of the day, it means you don't respect me.
Yeah.
If you don't have respect for me, that's fine. But I don't need to be there. You know,
Yeah.
people need to accept people for who they are.
Yeah.
You know, I accept you for who you are at face value until you show me that you're not true.
Yeah.
If you're not true, well, then I'm not interested. And if you ride a sports bike or if you whatever, although, you know, to an extent, I do have a bit of a discrimination towards bikes. And there is one particular style of bike which I don't refer to as a bike. I don't like using that. So I might be a bit of a hypocrite when it comes to that. But
go on, what is it? What is it?
I'm not a fan of a scooter, mate.
No.
Honestly, you know, all I do is I just see knobhead.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's all I do. Is it's in my head. And again, it could be just from experience. You know, some of the people that I've known who had done that. You know, some of the hardcore mod guys. Or
Oh
yeah. You know,
I've got friends. I've got friends in that genre. Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it is just what it is. So, you know, I mean, okay, fine. I'm speaking about it publicly now, but you know, this is just the sort of inner, deeper, darkest. I just tend to not say anything about it typically because, well, you know, I want to be true to how but I'm not a fan of them. And, you know, I suppose part of the reason is because I don't feel that most of the time the people riding them are trained.
No.
You go and do a CBT, you're on your bike and you just like an absolute banana. That doesn't, it's not safe. No. And that's my issue with it. You know, somebody who uses it for transport or, you know, fine. Okay. You know, all good to you. But, you know, some of these guys are just, you know, it's not my thing.
No, I can see that point of view. I can see that. I think they're perhaps more for show than actual usability, to be honest with you. They're probably all right for, you know, being in some little Italian town and you're nipping down to the bakery to get your bread and rolls.
You know what? I would probably get it. I would probably do that, you know. I mean, I've seen some of these bikes that are just absolutely ridiculous, and I can't believe I'm even spending more than 30 seconds talking about scooters. But, you know, when you see these mod bikes with these layers upon layers of mirrors and you know and all that kind of stuff, it's just and I think the thing is that with that it becomes something different. You know, it's not it's about a lifestyle that takes you back to a different era, which is different, which is completely different to somebody who's just mucking about. And that's, I suppose, the distinction I make is that if you have a liking to something, all credit to you, you know, you're a man, go and do your thing. But you know, the other stuff, I don't know. You know, what I feel today and what I feel tomorrow is probably going to be different. So who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, I always say to people, I never make an apology for changing my mind a week or a day later, because if new information comes up, then I'm going to change my mind. Simple as that. No one knows everything. But totally. What bike do you ride?
So I have a 2018 Indian Chieftain Classic in silver and black. I mean, one of the things that I've got to do, which I think is my signature photograph now, is rather than taking a shot straight on, I actually like to have it like that. If you're looking on the screen, so if this is the rear end of the bike, that's the front. I like to take a photo from here so that it gives you the line of the bike. But also, what it does is that when you're taking the photos of the background, it sort of throws you down like the valley and that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's become a thing that I like.
It's particularly with motorcycles. If you, it's very easy to take a shot, and the motorbike looks small, or it makes the person look ginormous on top of even the biggest of bikes, because of the geometry of the bike. Especially if it's leaning, if it's on its side stand, you can get that completely wrong. I mean, it's not simple as just point and click. If you want it to look really good, and your photos, you have done some very, very good photos, Sean. I mean, I've mentioned it actually on Instagram. So
I've got a recipe actually. If
Yeah.
you've got a fairing bike like myself,
Yeah.
you want it back and forward, in that angle that I was giving. So slightly from the rear,
Yeah.
running down the thing. If you've got a non-fairy bike, what you want is you want it low and from the front,
Okay.
so that it throws the aspect ratio of the bike up. I think that sort of thing, and it's very, very important, in my opinion anyway, is to take it on the pretty side of the bike, which means not the bike close to the ground. It's the way when it leans away, so that just gives you a bit more of a perspective.
Yeah.
And also, if you have the handlebar turned to the left, then so that it
Opens
allows
it
you
up.
to see, allows you to see more of the bike. And again, what I think today and what I think tomorrow might be different.
What's the next little adventure for you on the horizon then? I know you talked about your world travel, but that's a big one, probably in a few years, didn't you say? But what else have you got planned, Sean?
Well, I've obviously, with COVID and everything, things have been a bit
Yeah.
problematic, and I've been made redundant, and all that kind of shit. And
I loved your east to west ride, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Equinox ride.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
quickly, if anybody wants to know, Sean did a ride where he went from the east coast of England to the west coast of England to see, what was it, the sunrise and the sunset in Wales?
Yes, yeah.
Well, how did that come about?
Well, it was a good friend of mine, Jeff Rutland, who I ride with, and he called me up. He said, "Listen, you know what? I'm thinking of doing this, and would you help me or support it?" I'd seen him put some stuff up on Facebook and that, but it wasn't like people were really specifically responding. And I thought, well, you know what? I like riding. I'm in.
Oh,
So I shared a few posts, and the next thing you knew, we had over 30 people. We actually had to start turning people away. It just obviously Jeff put a lot of planning into it, it just happened to be a fantastic ride by accident almost, because with COVID and everything, it was like it was going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen, and then it's moved, and we were just lucky, and even on the day, the weather was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was a spectacular ride. So. I've spoken to him as well. I've got some ideas, and we're going to have a Equinox South and North, and we're also going to have a Scottish Equinox, it'll be good. So basically, just join up with a bunch of mates, check the sunsets, sunrise on the one side of the country, right across to the other side, and just visit some places, see some things, meet some people. In fact,
north to south, south to north in a day.
No, I'm going to do that. By the way, I'm going to do Land's End to John O'Groats on the longest day. It's about 800 and something odd miles, and it's definitely something that I'm going to do. So that's definitely coming. But when I say north and south, it's basically do a run in the south and do a run in the north.
Okay.
The north run will be Lowestoft to Aberystwyth in Wales, and the south one we're busy planning, but obviously the finish points will be Land's End.
does Mrs. Undead Viking Zombie ride or passenger with
No,
you? Or
she hates the bike. I always say I'm really happy about it because I just like my peace and quiet.
I love the way our motorcycling and the philosophy of life all come together. It always does. You can't say that about car driving,
It-
or boats or aeroplanes. It's not the same. It's just not the same thing. I don't know.
Going and having a trip on two wheels just cannot be beaten, no matter what it is that you do. It's something about, and I think for me, it's like that exploring adventure type feel. You know, it's like it's like being on the bike, feeling a little bit like Indiana Jones after you find some lost treasure or something.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about for me. Is just go have fun, sense of adventure, explore, see new things, meet new people, and that's what I think probably my favorite thing is actually to know no one, which forces me to go and meet someone.
Yeah.
And it's been a great adventure.
You got to give me a worst ride and a best ride. It doesn't have to be the actual place, just a worst ride and a best ride.
Well, the best ride's easy.
Go on then.
Scotland, can't beat it.
Really? Was that the NC 500 or
Well, the
just
NC 500 is a weird one.
too commercial?
No, see, one, you get a lot of traffic.
Yeah. A lot of caravans.
Yeah, and
Motorhomes.
listen, you know, you probably get people slating me this, but the west coast of Scotland is miles apart better than the east coast.
Okay.
And you know, you simply can't beat it. So, you know, if you're going to do a trip, stick to the west because it's awesome.
Okay.
You know, heading up to Skye and all that. You know, what I tend to do is head up Fort William Way through Glencoe all the way up, and then head off to Eileen Donnan Castle, which is other side of Skye, which is the Highlander Castle. You know, that kind of stuff. That's I mean, it's just stunning. It's just it can't be beaten. Worst ride, I don't know. I don't know. All I can say is it's probably my worst ride is to stick me on a bike and to make me pot behind you at 30, 40 miles an hour. That is just my nightmare. I think other than that, I can zone out. But you know, nothing particular comes to mind. I think probably because any of those kinds of rides, I just sort of put them out of my mind. I throw them away. I reject them. I don't count them as riding.
When you said you were taking your journeys, you don't exactly plan it all out.
Nothing.
No. So you don't go on a map and pick which roads you want to use, or
no, go and explore them, find what I want.
Yeah, you just like head south or something, or
in fact, in the really early days, you know, I'd wake up in the morning and I'm going, well, I feel like riding, and I literally just get on the bike, pack some stuff. I don't know where I'm going, pack some stuff and ride.
Wow,
that's it. And I would say, you know, some more recently, it's a case of like I went to a funeral of a friend of mine in Scotland. So I knew what I was going to do, and then when I was there, I was like, you know what, let me go and explore a bit. Obviously, you know, I needed to find something to do, so I've decided to launch the Undead Viking Zombie clothing brand, and I've gone into it. I would like to think completely professionally, and again, as per usual, completely over the top.
Good man.
So I'm launching it as a proper brand on the 1st of November.
Put me down for a hat and a t-shirt.
Sounds
Straight
good to
away.
me.
Yeah.
You know, I've got some awesome designs launched, and you know, pretty much it comes from the soul. It comes from the heart. And you know, I'm doing a proper quality merch. I don't want to just send out any nonsense. In fact, this is the shirt that I'm wearing
Looks
is
cool, man.
is a like a draft. You know, some of the test prints of older designs that I've got. I'll show you the back quickly if you want to see.
Yeah, go for it, man. Awesome. That totally one of my shirts. I mean, I've got,
I'm not sure if you saw that.
yeah, totally like my kind of shirt, 100%. I mean, I've got Viking Ninja shirt. Put me down for a large. Are you doing any snapbacks or hats or anything, trucker caps or?
So I'm focusing on fitted caps, and also some urban caps.
Okay.
Because it's the style I like.
Yeah, cool.
And also the fitted cap I think is a much nicer cap.
Okay.
And you know, I'm doing some obviously hoodies, shirts or t-shirts, some long sleeve stuff.
Good.
And the thing that I'm most excited about is I'm going to develop my own range of Kevlar jeans.
Wicked.
So I've got this vision in my head about what it looks like. There's a nice black jean,
right,
but with red stitching all the way down. So red, nice, visible stitching all the way down. So to give it a little bit of a contrast. So again, go back to my sort of black and white, you know, outlook, and then just add that touch of color just to bring that out a little bit, and
awesome.
Let's see where it goes.
That sounds really good. I mean, hopefully, if anybody's listening, look out for the Undead Viking zombie range, because it sounds like it's going to be really good. It's just the kind of thing you want on a bike. When you get off your bike and you take your jacket off and you've got one of them on, it shows your, I don't know, it's just something about it. I love that stuff. If they've got axes and stuff as well, it's like even better.
Yeah, it's my style. You know, I think the thing is that, again, it's just, you know, anything that I do, I don't just talk it, I live it.
Yeah.
You know, this is my life, and you know, obviously I did my other things in my life, and I just thought, you know what, at this point in time, what would I rather be doing?
Yeah,
and
man.
You know, I want to do something with bikes, and to be fair, this is a brand that I think will transcend just bikes into other areas, and I was busy doing a little write-up the other day, and for me, my sort of feeling is that, you know, the UVZ brand or name represents anybody who's lost and, you know, needs a direction, or is angry and confused and lost. You know, because I want it to become a symbol of hope, a symbol of something, rather than just you know, a nothing. Because at the end of the day, sometimes in order to make things better, you've got to recognize the reality.
Yes.
Because unless I understand and go, actually, you know what, there's a problem, you know, it just doesn't. And for me, carrying on with this represents my journey, and, you know, where I'm going for the future. And, you know, I don't want to forget my journey.
Yeah.
And I certainly want to be able to learn and grow from it.
It can't be easy, but in some respects you are what you are, and you just get on and do it, don't you? So,
well, yeah, you can choose to linger in it, or you can choose to rise above it. And I just want to do my thing, and, you know, what do? Do you just give up? You can't give up.
Yeah, but a lot of people do. You've
got to face the next day and the next day, because the thing is that, you know, too often people look at these things as the whole journey, and I don't do that. I look at the second, the right here and now, make it to the next second. Okay, good, next second, and before you know it, time has passed, and that's the sort of philosophy I want to try and bring to people, just normally. You know, it could be something bad's happened, or you're upset about something. You know, get through that second, get through the next second, and just keep at it. Because too often people are faced with stuff that they feel they can't survive, they can't move past,
Yeah.
And, you know, there isn't, unfortunately, a magic pill to take. And the only way is to prepare yourself mentally and go, right, this is what I'm going to do. 1 second. And sometimes you're going to relapse, you know, sometimes, you know, it's all bad again. And then you start again. But at some point, you're going to go longer and longer without having to worry about it. And to be fair, you know, I still have my days. You know, when I woke up this morning, I felt rough as anything. All my glands are started up. And again, you know, why I'm wearing a beard is because of all the glands. So all my lymph nodes and everything under my thing, they're like balls.
Wow.
So, and also when I was in hospital, they cut me here. It was, I don't know, 6-7 centimeters, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Where they removed some of the lymph nodes to test
throat.
and stuff. And, you know, it left a horrible scar.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just sort of like, it was embarrassing. It was awful. So that's how I covered it up. And, you know, it's just become a thing for me now. You know, if anybody thinks of me, they can't think of me without a beard.
No. Is there anything else you wanted to say to all your adoring fans out there in the Undead Viking zombie wilderness? Is there any? You've given us a lot of pearls of wisdom. But if there's anything else you want to share,
okay, I've got one more.
Go for it.
Honestly, this is, you know, for you listeners out there, really, honestly, this is the most important few words that you will ever hear, and this will be completely life-changing. Okay, honestly, listen to this, people. Look into my eyes, not around my eyes. 1, 2, 3, you're under. So when you're finished watching this video, you're going to go buy an Undead Viking zombie shirt, and you're going to do nothing else but wear that shirt all the time and tell everyone about it. 1, 2, 3, you're under. Okay, guys. So yeah, I've told you that now, and I really hope that you're going to take that to heart and do your best out there.
Absolutely. Like, they're good shirts, man. I can see it. As soon as I get one, I'm going to wear it on Instagram or something for you, Sean, right? It's been wonderful speaking with you, Sean. Thanks for giving up some time. And you do great stuff as well. Like, you go on these trips and pass off this information, and then you're on another trip, and then you're riding for 600, 700, 800 miles, and you're telling us the best way to do it and passing that info on. I think people want to hear it. They need to hear this stuff. They need to hear about the journeys and that. So looking forward to you traveling around the world. I want to go myself, actually, so we might cross paths or something somewhere in the Andes or something. Yeah. All right. On that note, we'll leave us with us riding across America somewhere on that fault. Thanks again, Sean. Take care. Give us a bump. There you go, man. I see
We'll try
that
that again. I'll try that again.
Yeah, let's do that again.
1, 2, 3. Do.
Where am I? There. I'll do it again. Do it again. Yeah. See you later, dude. Ride safe, yeah?
All right.
Take care.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks to the Undead Viking Zombie, really inspirational guy. And follow Sean, follow him on his Instagram and his YouTube. There'll be links down in the box underneath the YouTube video. I encourage you to. He does some really great stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more from him. If, guys, you liked what you've heard, please like, share, subscribe, you know, do all that stuff. It really does help the channel to grow and to improve. It's all about motorcycles, but especially about the people within that community, because for us, for me, that's what this is all about. It's about you guys, and we want to represent that and show you more and more and more ordinary people doing amazing stuff. I wish you a great day or evening wherever you are in the world. Keep yourself safe, ride safe, and remember, there's never a wrong way, not on a motorcycle. Take care, guys. I'll see you again on the next show. Bye for now. Bye.